I don't cry when it rains no more, or I get dirt on my shoes. I don't mind climbing 8 more floors, 'cause these stairs are all heading to you. I don't wait for tomorrow's sunshine when I feel it today. But when it's cold in the dead of winter, remember that snow melts away. One more cold drink, one more roll, one more dance before the doors get closed. Please remember, enjoy the show. Let's get happy before we get old. We don't need plans or a fancy agenda. Well, let's just see where it goes. We got no care for the way people stare at the dust and the dirt on our clothes. Hey, my friend, we'll never say
All right, y'all, come on into the Cajun Cooking Experience. It's Buddy over here, and I got my buddy Bob with me.
How you doing?
Bob's a travel writer.
That's right.
So he's going to come over here, and he's going to write about his experience in the river parishes.
About the original cooking Cajun chef.
There you go, the original, the best.
That's
So you
right.
take the best, and that's who you come and see. So tonight, we're going to actually cook. Let me get my comments coming up. What's up, Darren? What's up? I see you on that YouTube. All right, brother. Thank you. So tonight we're gonna cook a shrimp stew. Man, I was digging through the freezer and I ran into this bag of mystery fish. I have no idea what it is. It looks like redfish. It may be. I don't know. It might be cat, and it's not catfish, but it's a
Doesn't look
big
like that.
fish. So what it look like, Bob? Just a
Doesn't look-
mystery fish, huh?
Mystery fish. But
So we're gonna put it in this stew, kind of like the Cajuns did. They whatever they had, they cooked with what they had. So I wasn't gonna put the fish in, but the fish is gonna give us a crab taste. I want the fish, most of the fish, just to break up in here, and that's gonna give that shrimp and crab taste. This is what I want. So, Bob,
yes,
you ready
sir.
to make a roux?
I'm ready.
All right. What I need over here, I need a little bit cooking oil. I mean, flour.
Low fat.
Just a little touch of flour, because we got to see if this oil is ready. Okay, a little bit more. This is like, there you go. So you see how that oil's not bubbling yet?
Yeah, it's not ready yet.
Okay, so it's not ready yet. Because if we put it in, we put that flour in before that oil's ready, it's gonna clap up. We're gonna have a mess in here. So we want that oil cooking in here. So, and tonight, I'm gonna kick this fire up a little bit. We're cooking with hog lard. Why hog lard? Because it was our ancestors cooked with. If you don't like making a roux with hog lard, you can use avocado oil. I use both of them. They both work well. That's the only 2 oils I really use to cook a roux with. I try to stay away from all the other oils, especially seed oils. I stay away from them. They go into some serious high processing, serious high heat processing, and there's a lot of bad stuff in them. So I stay away from those. So Bob, let's try a little bit of flour again. Give me a little bit, just give me a good hit. We're almost ready. All right, give me about half of that.
Half of this?
Yes, about half of that. All right. Okay, that's good. So our oil is almost ready. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna make a good. I'm not going super dark
now
roux.
it's sizzling.
Nice sizzling. So I'm not going with a super dark roux. I don't need a dark roux to make a stew. I like a stew that's a little heavier than a blonde roux. Not as heavy as my gumbo, but you remember, the darker the roux, the less it thickens. The lighter the roux, the less you need. So think of biscuit and gravy. You got that white gravy. Brother Bernard Williams, what's happening, my brother? Always good to see you, man. All right, we can put the rest of that spoon in there. Cooking a little fish and shrimp stew tonight. And fish is gonna make us believe we got crab meat in it. Okay.
Then
Now we
pretty
can
much
start bringing
more.
some more. So what's the measurement? What's the measurement on the flour with the oil? If you want to measure it, use a cup and a half of flour to a cup of oil. Also, we're gonna eye it. We're just gonna buy it. That's all. So
Well,
you can put all this in there. And when you're sitting here stirring this roux, Bobby, if you're stirring the roux, don't try to chop these little pieces. Just keep it moving. Just keep it moving.
They'll break up on their own.
It'll break up on its own. Yep. So bring me some more. Bring me a whole spoon in. Okay. And I think every time, what am I bringing in? A half a cup every time? Or it'll be where your finger is. Half a cup. So every one of these I put in here, we're doing a half a cup. I figure we're gonna need about maybe 3 to 4 cups in here. Probably so I have a half a pound of lard. A pound of lard creates 1.92 cups of oil. So almost 2 cups, a little bit more. Kind of like an open. Open's not quite 200 feet. It's 1.92 something feet. Yeah, just bring it on in. I know we'll need all that. And if you're making a roux, make sure you use all-purpose flour. Don't use self-rising flour, whatever you do. The biggest thing now is just to make our roux. Bob, how many roux have you made?
Me? None. I don't
None?
do it.
Really?
I leave it to people to know what they're doing. Now, why don't you want to use self-rising flour, though?
So self-rising flour is just not going to do well in the roux. And use the all-purpose flour. This is what we use. You never break it if it's not broke. What's up, Bob? It's been a long time, brother. Bob's over here. We know we always put a little andouille and everything. He's wearing his andouille out. What do you think about it, Bob?
I think you need to cut up some more.
Bring a little bit more flour in. Probably another spoon. Yep. So bring it on in. So Bob, you been doing all right, brother? Hey, Mildred. And Darren, how is that picture on YouTube? Okay, you see how we got a little thickness in this roux now? You see how we thicken up? This is going to be enough flour. You can actually put that flour on the table over there, Bob. So if you're looking here, and we're going to bring that camera in, wherever my flipper is. Uh-oh. I was playing with this thing so much, I put it out the way. No, I got another one. So if you look in here, if you look inside the pot, watch this. You see how it's slowly coming together?
Yep.
This is how you know that your roux is thick enough. You don't want to come together too fast. You don't want to come together too slow. This is like when you pull down on the swamp.
Right.
You leave a path, and then they'll slowly come back together. This is what it looks like. What's up, Dr. McGee? What's up, Tim? What's going on, my brother? That's it. Let's take a look in that pot. And you see when I pull that, it slowly comes together. If you want to be able to iron the thickness of your roux, this is what you want to do. Me and my lab all like, when I'm cutting up on Dewey and begging for, he's begging for taste. Bob, my lab tonight, brother. My dog. Thank you. All right, Dino, thank you, brother. Good seeing you. All right. So we want to do this roux is going to continue to turn brown. Slowly. You don't want to rush it. So a lot of people want to get out there and rush a roux. They want to hurry up. But what you do, and I tell people all the time, you get your favorite drink. All right? Let me bring that camera back to where we can see us. All right, now Twisted Bob's on and he's drinking a beer.
That's right.
So you get your favorite drink, a little toast, and you get your little music on. I like when I'm making a roux, I like a little Marvin Gaye. And you just kind of get that little move and a little groove going. Let's get it on.
Get it on.
You just go ahead and you make it, and you get this, you got to get a groove on, but you want to bring it around slow. You don't want to sit here forever. But if you cook it too fast, I find the roux just doesn't do as well when you're doing too fast. You bring it too much heat in. If you're making a roux with butter, if you bring too much heat in, it'll separate. That butter will separate, and you really just screw it up. In the French style, a lot of the French cooking in New Orleans, they would have had a butter roux. They would have used butter. If you go back in old cookbooks, and anybody that cook French cookbooks, all their roux are making with butter, all their sauces and gravies, they're using butter. Very rich roux. That's why they want it very dark. Okay? Because you can only go to like a blonde roux with butter, and you have to cut it. Okay. So now it's just a matter of stirring this thing. You see it start to turn color a little bit?
Yep.
Okay.
Get a little brown.
So cooking this shrimp stew tonight, what we're gonna do is cook this shrimp stew is we're gonna bring a little bit in, the shrimp and the fish, we're gonna bring a little bit in so that we can actually sacrifice it. We're gonna let it all break apart. I like to do that because it just breaks out some good flavor in this stew. Okay. I see my buddy Leonard walking in over there. Oh yeah, Leonard. All right. Now shrimp has an amazing history. They've been catching shrimp since before Christ. Maybe it didn't look like the shrimp we have today, but there were always shrimp in the water. But back in the day, they would go out there, Lake Pontchartrain. Let's say Lake Pontchartrain. They would get a small net, probably made in France, or somebody made it in New Orleans. And people would walk Lake Pontchartrain, one on each end, somebody in the boat, and they would drag their net, just little trawl. They would catch shrimp, dump them in the boat, come back. But in them days, up until the 40s, there were no machines. You had to hand peel them, you had to hand pick them. So really, the poor people, unless they caught their own, they really didn't get a lot of shrimp because it was an expensive process. Then one day, they were cleaning shrimp in a factory down the bayou, somewhere around Chauvin. And he had a guy, he had a pair of white boots on, those old Cajun fishing boots.
Yeah.
And he had those white boots on. And his dad told him, man, go do something with your life. Invent a machine that can peel these shrimp. He walked in the white boots, he stepped on the shrimp and it popped out the peeling. He said, I got something. He got together with his dad and his brothers and all, and got some engineers, and he made a machine so that the machine runs fingers through the shrimp and actually works it so it pops that peeling off. And then they'll devein it. And today, we do automatic peeling on the shrimp. That brought the price of shrimp way down, and also you can process a lot more shrimp. But shrimp started off just dragging a net through the water.
That's starting to look pretty good.
It's starting to get pretty good. So now we're getting a little tannish to it. We're starting to get to the blonde roux stage. This is where you want to make it a little gravy, like a little gravy to put over something. This is a good place where you do it. You wouldn't need as much roux though. This right here, you make a ton of gravy because we haven't darkened this yet. So the lighter the roux, you don't need as much to thicken that gravy. When people make gravy, biscuits and gravy, the white gravy, they don't use a lot. Tablespoon of flour,
That's it.
put some oil, that's it. And that's done. That's a wrap. Okay. Now, something I didn't do, let's take a look at our ingredients. All right. So you can see we got some andouille we're gonna put in.
You got some.
We got some mushroom. And Bob been wearing that andouille. That andouille was overflowing a while ago.
There was a lot more before I got
And then
here.
we have some onions, some shallots, tops and bottoms, celery, and of course I got my different color bell peppers. I like a lot of vegetation. You don't have to put all this in there. You just want to put onions in your stew, knock your lights out. One thing about Cajun cooking, you do it your way. Hey, Gina, I missed church tonight. Is the only reason I can watch live. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate you. All right, Lane. Oh, I'm back, brother. I'm back. How's everything going, man? Love the heart. Okay. So now we're getting into the blonde roux stage. You look at this roux, getting a nice little tan roux. So right now, if you were making like a étouffée, let's say you want to make it with a roux, this is where you would stop. You were making a little small stew. You can stop it. So anytime after this, you can start stopping this roux. But we're gonna go a little darker than this. We want a little nuttier flavor in our stew. But in New Orleans and the Creole cooking, this is about where they would stop. It wouldn't go much further than this. How you like your beer, Bob?
That's good beer.
He's drinking a Beta Amber
Yes, sir.
and bringing him to that regular local Louisiana beer. Tell him what happened. The lobster from Nova Scotia when they hit the Gulf. You heard about the lobster story, Bob?
Yeah.
Huh? You never heard, huh? So the Cajuns came from Nova Scotia. Well, the Cajuns were eating lobster.
Yeah.
Lobster's pretty big, right? But lobster was a trash fish. It was trash. The only poor people ate it. When the Cajuns came down, the lobsters followed them. It was so long of a trip. By the time they got here, the lobster was only this big. They call them crawfish.
That's how we got crawfish.
That's how we got crawfish. And look, that's a true story. I'm a man that can't lie. I'm live out there in the world. And everybody has a story. So Bob doing travel writing, he was telling me that he's done in the past where he's actually wrote people's stories.
Yeah, for a while I was working with a company that did people's biographies, and they would send me out to interview them and then write their autobiography as a ghostwriter, I guess you could say.
Okay. And what did you determine how to interview them? How did you interview them? What was the information you were looking for?
Well, you originally sent them out just a 3 or 4 page thing with where did you go to school? Tell me something interesting in your life. And they give you just an initial thing to go off of. And from there, I would go out and just ask about their life. You know, what did they want to concentrate on the book? Was it their time in the military? Was it their time growing up as a child? Was it their entire life? And we would just talk about it. And as you talk to people, more questions come out based on what they say.
What they're telling you.
Right.
So it builds
And
yourself.
that's how you kind of lead the interview. It's not, I'm going to ask this question. Okay, we got enough. Now I'm going to ask this question. No, it's a
storytelling.
give and flow.
You letting them tell their story.
Right.
And then you can ask questions based on that.
You know, you may tell me that, oh yeah, I was in the Army for a while, but there was this one time that after I got out of the Army, I spent a year and a half living in Paris before I came back to the States. Okay, well now we need to talk about
Now we got to talk
Paris.
about Paris. Okay,
Right.
I see how that goes. And you've done this for quite a few people.
I did it for a few, and then I quit working for the company that
Oh, okay. But somebody came to you and said, hey, I want to write my life story. I need help. You can still do that.
I can still do that. And there's companies out there to do it, or you can hire a ghostwriter to do it, or it's a drawn out process. And it takes several interviews, and
well, every time you have new stories.
that's right.
Okay. And Bobby said, look, when the lobsters came down, they shrunk when they hit the warm waters. Because you know, in Nova Scotia, there wasn't no warm water up there.
That's right.
Now, Bob also spent 20 years in the military. And that was interesting to talk to him about. And been to how many countries?
Oh, I don't know. A little over 30.
About 30 countries.
Yeah.
So you've seen the world. Not only the military, but you work too.
Right. With my work, and as a travel writer, I've had the opportunity to travel internationally. So
that's cool.
But I'm an old man now.
Oh, yeah. You had to slow that roll, huh?
When I joined the Army, I enlisted in the Army the 26th of December, the day after Christmas, 1973. And I spent the reception station. I spent New Year's Eve at the reception station at Fort Polk, Louisiana.
So you was at Fort Polk?
Yes. First 3 years I was at Polk.
So they kept me up for 3 years?
Well, I went to basic there, and then I went off to school, and then that was my first duty station. So I came right back.
Okay.
But
so
yeah, I'm old.
In the military, you learn a lot of what you learn in the military help you what you do now.
Yeah, it helped me because a lot of what I did in the military was talking to people and asking questions, and it helps me when I whether even get a story or whether I was doing a book on somebody on how to interview people. And I also did it as a civilian contractor for a while overseas.
And you see now, Brian, see them onions?
Yep.
We're going to bring all these onions in.
Both bowls.
So look, Bobby Sullivan says, you really a young man with old hair.
But don't look in the back, because I don't have any hair in the back.
You can dump them in, Bob. We're going to bring all them onions in. Okay. So you see, I've got a little red onion going in, and I've got a little sweet onion going in. Why? Because I just like to color it up. I like both of them. Okay. Now, when you put these onions in, you have to cook it a while. Give it a little time because you want to cook those sugars out of those onions. You want to bring those sugars out. Now, you see that, let's see, undoing? Let's bring that in.
Okay.
We want to put this in his roux and let it start cooking.
Well, I'm going to save this one because he's my friend.
Oh, yeah, you got it. So you had to try one. So we're going to bring those andouille in, and you can bring that celery in. We're going to cook this a little bit. This is the part that people want to rush. Take your time, and let those vegetables kick in. Let them cook a little bit. Doesn't take long, maybe a minute or two, because what you're doing is you're cooking the vegetables out of here. You're cooking the vegetables out of this stew. I mean, out of these, you're cooking the sugars out of these vegetables.
Now, is that on,
Hey, Jordan,
is that on low heat or high heat?
I have it on low right now because, okay, we're cooking in the cast iron pot. That's a good question. Depending on what pot you're cooking. This cast iron pot holds a lot of heat. So I have a burner that's 200,000 BTU burner.
Right.
So I've got fire throughout this pot all across. So I have to keep this thing on really, really low.
Well, cast iron makes the best stuff.
And this is the best. Now bring those mushrooms in, Bob. We're gonna bring the mushrooms and the garlic in. Okay. Bring that garlic in. We're gonna let all that cook in there a little bit. And you know we like a lot of garlic.
I do love garlic.
Okay. Then what we're gonna do? Oh yeah. We're gonna bring this roux in, this water in. This is stock. Bobby, see that other
one?
Let's bring half of that one that you have in your hand. So we're gonna bring our chicken stock in. Okay,
good?
A little bit more. Okay, well, let's get this fire get up. So what's happening right now, you can see this water's pretty loose, right?
Yep.
It's pretty loose. Looks like it's not gonna make much of a gravy. Once this comes to a boil, it's gonna start thickening it up. You have to, when you put a roux, you have to boil it for at least 15 minutes. Boil it, not simmer it. Reason is you have to cook out the enzymes and the starches out of the roux. If you don't cook that out, what's going to happen is, if I don't know if you've ever tasted like a gumbo or something and it has grit, it has like a gritty taste, this because you didn't cook the roux out. So it's the enzymes, starches in that roux that's causing the problem. That's where you get your grit from. So Bob, when you go to places, you're talking about traveling. What are you talking about? Like you're going to come to Vassar and you're out here in the River Parish and you're talking about the places you've seen.
Right.
What are you talking about? What are you doing to hold people's interest?
Well, here I'm here at invitation of Louisiana River Parishes, the tourism bureau. And so there's a certain story tourism boards want told. And so I do that. And then when I'm talking to them about a trip, I also say, look, this is what I enjoy doing too. I like to go to local mom and pop places to eat because I want to tell their story. I want to go to off the beaten path places that most tourists don't know about. And so they kind of wheel that in with what I'm doing. I love cigars. I'm a big cigar smoker. So I told the tourism board, I said, you know, I got to go to a Perique farm. And she was like, I don't think I've ever had anybody ask me that. I said, well, it's the only parish that grows Perique.
And it's only one area.
And it's only one area. And so she arranged for me to go out and.
That's cool. So have you been there yet?
I went there this morning.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
And that Perique tobacco, it's not, you don't use it straight, you blend it, right? It uses a blend.
Right. Most of theirs is sold to a company which manufactures pipe tobacco out of it, and they use a percentage of it along with other tobaccos and blend it.
And blend it in.
Right.
And what makes it unique? What did they say makes it unique? So unique that it's, people want it. It's a blend.
It is a totally different flavor. There's some people that they were telling me there was one guy that likes to come out and buy a big bundle and he chews it. There is a company that makes cigars
out
of it, but they are not sold in the U.S. that I know.
Oh, really?
They're only, and believe it or not, companies in the Philippines. He told me the story. They had shipped the leaves over there to have the workers over there devein them and ship them back. And then they said, well, just send us some of this and we'd like to try blending it. And so they did, but their cigars are sold mainly in Europe. And they're hard to get a hold of. And you're talking about right now, there's only 2 families growing tobacco. And it's only grown here.
So you have a very limited supply.
Right. It's a limited supply. It's a very old heritage tobacco that they can trace back to the Indians. It's not blended and crossbred with other tobaccos. And he was telling me, he said, you can grow Perique anywhere, but it's not going to be the same because, and they haven't figured out why. They think it's from the river and the water.
Yeah, we had the best alluvial soil in the world.
Right.
Something about that area, because it has a real sandy soil over there. It may be the sediment at that time, whatever time it was, that actually built something unique about that soil.
He said you can go 2 parishes over and
Can't grow it.
they can plant it, but it won't be the same.
It won't be the
It
same.
won't come out the same.
Won't get the same taste.
Right.
And Laurie says, good to see you back at it. Thank you, Laurie. Okay, now we're going to get this water boiling. We got to get this water up to a boil so we can start building our stew.
And that's when you start adding the fish in?
We're going to start put a little fish in and put a little shrimp in, sacrifice it first so that we can let it cook in this gravy. So you want it to cook. I want the fish to actually fall apart so that it can spread across here. And if there's a way you can use fish, if you let it break apart, it's going to taste like a crab meat in your stew. So one of the things that I was at a place one time when I did this Cajun cooking experience, and I broke up some sac-a-lait and bass, and I let it just cook there, broke apart. And it was a seafood sauce pecan. And a lady came to me and she said, you know, that's the best crab stew I've ever eaten. I said, well, thank you. She goes, you really put a lot of crab in there. So yes, ma'am, I did. I didn't have a piece of crab in it. But I had crab bodies. But I didn't have crab meat in it, like the loose crab meat. She was tasting the fish. So if you use the right fish, break it up in there, it'll have a good flavor.
Do you think this mystery meat fish is going to do it?
Oh, yeah. I have no idea what the hell we putting in here.
It looks good.
So we're going to get this stuff boiling. It's really going to start taking place now, start building. So one of the things is, why do we cook a stew? Because if you look at old newspapers, what they'll do is look at old recipes, they're stewing. They would have cooked those vegetables down, and then once the vegetables cook down, build up a little gravy, and then add a little flour, maybe a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of flour, and they cook that in. Once they cook that in, then they would have started building, but they would have made a smaller stew. We make a roux so we can make a big stew. Why? In our area, we were very Catholic. I always just think this is the reason. We're very Catholic, which means that because the French brought over Catholicism, so you had to be Catholic when France owned us. And we, in the old days, our ancestors followed Catholicism to the T, which means they made big families.
That's right.
My dad came from a family of 12. Lucian made barbecue shrimp, poor boys for supper. Very hype you cooking live videos again, my brother. Thank you, Lucian. I appreciate it, brother. Hey, Donna, what's happening this side there? All right, so we're just trying to get this gravy. We can take a peek in that pot. All right.
Well, like you said, it's always better the second day anyway. Right?
Always going to be better the second day.
So you want to make that.
Yes. So Bob's out here seeing what we do with the Cajun cooking experience. So what we're doing is kind of what we're doing here. If I had a group in here, then people would come up and volunteer to cook. That's the hardest thing to get. Older they are, the less they want to come up here and cook. I had a group of 6th graders last week.
Oh, it's more than now.
And they are, when I said who wants to cook, 30 of them raised their hands screaming. I've never had that before. So it's really awesome that you have these young people, 6th graders, that are so interested in learning how to cook and interested in Cajun culture. That was cool. Well, yeah, Rocky. And anybody want to know, Rocky's celebrating 50 years married and his birthday, all in the same week. So give a shout out to Rocky.
Well, cooking shows like you're doing and everybody else is doing has got people energized and interested. They want to replicate those recipes. They want to try it. They want to experiment.
And they're also interested in our culture.
That's right.
So I do bus tours. Today I did a bus tour, American Cruise Line. I took them to Homer's house. So in that bus tour, I'm telling them as we're driving, it's a 45-minute ride. So we drive that whole 45 minutes, and I'm talking about the swamps. I'm talking about the levees. I'm talking about the sugarcane. I'm talking about our food culture and the culture of the way we live, the way we survive out here. And people love these stories.
Yeah.
It was funny. I had a man that was, him and his wife were from Lafayette. You know, as I was talking, he was just shaking his head. Yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. Okay, Bobby, go add them bell peppers in. Now, the reason why I bring different colors, the green being the green or the immature bell peppers, so they're going to be the bitter ones, all the way to the red, or which are the most mature, the sweetest bell peppers. So I bring all these flavors in because I like the flavor of all of them. I do like a lot of bell peppers when I cook. If you don't want to do that, you can't do that, you do it the way you want to do it. It's not a problem. Those shallot tops, we're going to bring the bottoms. We're going to bring those in. So shallots would have been something our ancestors would have used. They would have grown that in the garden. Probably use it in place of onions because maybe all the time you didn't have onions. It's possible that because you realize in New Orleans they had the fresh market. Every day, ladies would go shopping, buy what they needed to cook at the fresh market. Not only the produce they had to cook with, but you also had meat markets and fish markets. So when you're in the fresh market, when you walk down in the fresh quarter and around the French market, then you can buy fresh fish, fresh steaks, sausage, everything cut. You can even buy, if you wanted some possum and coon that would be hanging on a nail, you could buy them to go home and cook too. And they wouldn't be skinned, they would be gutted, and they had to keep the feet on them. They wanted to make sure you didn't have somebody's cat or dog hanging up there. Yeah. And that was a fact. Okay, now I'm going to take this little bit of fish, I'm going to bring it in. And I'm gonna bring a little bit of shrimp in. Why? Because we're gonna sacrifice this shrimp. We got some good shrimp juice in there. We'll bring the rest in at the end, but we're gonna let this come up and boil in there and hopefully start breaking apart. So that it'll throw out a lot of stock. How long is it gonna take? Let's see. We got about another half hour in this stew. We're gonna be eating.
Now, how long does it take to break up?
Oh, depending on what kind of fish you have. I don't know what kind of fish we have, so it can break up right away, or it may never break up, because I have no idea what we're cooking. I think it's redfish, and it should break up pretty quick. So if I had like a bass in here or sac-a-lait, it would spread apart pretty quick. Yeah. You're gonna bring it up to a good boil, but fish doesn't take long to actually break apart. This is why if you're making a dish with fish, you have to be careful. You want to bring it in towards the end if you want to eat the fish whole. Now, one of the French dishes they had was a courtbouillon, and that was they used to take and make a bouillon with carrots, onions. They would use some bay leaf or anything they could. And, they had their seasoning, and they would boil those herbs and spices. They would boil it in a bag, and they would boil it and build that bouillon. Yeah. Then they would take that fish, a whole fish, cut it, leave the head on. And they would take some of this bouillon, put it in a pan, but they would poach this fish. You wouldn't boil it. You couldn't bring the water to a boil. You would poach it. After you poached it, you put it on a plate, and the way you know it's poached well, the skin peels right off. And then you would take a lemon and put it over the head so the eyes wouldn't wink at you.
There you go.
There it is. That was their courtbouillon. We don't do it that way.
Now, when you start adding all the spices into this stuff, the pepper.
We're going to add that after a while. So we're going to add that pretty soon. We're going to start adding a little bit in. But right at first, I just wanted to cook. Now, one of the things is, let's say I was making a gumbo, and I was having kind of the same process. But with that gumbo, I was also having my andouille and my sausage in it. I'd have to be really, really careful with that, because the andouille and sausage is going to throw a lot of seasoning. A lot of people like to put canned goods in their stews. If you put canned goods, you got to be careful with that. It's going to have a lot of salt in it. Yeah. The andouille is sausage. If I put spicy sausage in here, I got to be careful how much pepper I put. So you always have to be aware of what you're putting in here to see how much seasoning you have. When you're cooking the jambalaya, same way. People like to put a lot of canned goods in their jambalaya. You have to be really, really careful with that, because you can oversalt it easy. And with canned goods, you have a lot of water. You can throw the water to rice ratio way off. What's up, Claude? What's happening, my brother? So we're letting this boil. And as it boils, not only going to thicken, it's going to reduce. And we want to get this gravy nice and thick. And boiling it like this is helping break down those enzymes and starches. Now, Louisiana has always been known for their fisheries. Mm-hmm. Shrimp, right now, we're probably the number one producer in the United States for shrimp. We weren't always. At one time, Mobile was. But over time, we became the biggest fisheries. Mobile still catch, all of Biloxi, Mobile area, still catch a lot of shrimp and a lot of fish.
And you can tell the difference between a Gulf shrimp and something that's imported.
Imported? So most people probably can't, but I can.
They're sweeter.
The Gulf shrimp is going to be a lot, it's just going to have a different taste.
It is.
And when you buy these imported shrimp, most of these are pond raised. What that means is they go out in the waters, put this huge net out, and they raise their shrimp. And then they just raise that net up and they send them in. So they're not living wild.
Right.
We don't know what's in that water because they're feeding the shrimp every day. The shrimp are pooping in the water. The water's getting contaminated, and the water's never flowing. It's never cleaning all the trash out. So another thing is imports. They come here dirt cheap, but we're not supporting our fishermen. We are losing our fishermen. Right now, when you go down to Bayou, you actually just losing our fishermen. What about the river shrimp for us too? All right, Claude, I'm glad you said that. So Bob, in the Mississippi River, we used to catch river shrimp.
Yeah.
They were only about, if you had this big, that was a big shrimp. They were the prettiest color you ever saw. It's kind of like a bluish color. And they had a different taste. They had a big ball of fat in the head, but they had a different taste. If you get some shrimp out of Lake Pontchartrain, you get a little bit of that river shrimp taste in that Lake Pontchartrain shrimp because the waters, sometimes the waters of the Mississippi River used to go in Lake Pontchartrain. So you get that kind of same flavor. But river shrimp has this unique taste. It's my favorite shrimp. Problem is they used to go catch them with shrimp boxes. Put shrimp boxes out, pretty dangerous. Then you bring the shrimp box in, you put cottonseed cake, you put your old garden vegetables, you put anything that stink in there. It would draw the river shrimp. You wouldn't catch plenty of them. The ones you caught would make a fantastic stew. Another thing that were good in, butter beans.
Oh, yeah.
River shrimp and butter beans. Lord. Really hard to find right now. So people who lived along the river had to survive. They either lived out the swamp or they could catch anything in the river. You can catch fish. You can catch catfish. If you have an area behind the levee that has water that's not moving, the river's feeding it, but the river's not moving the water. Seen people catch bass, sac-a-lait behind the levee. They're crawfish, tiny crawfish.
Oh, yeah.
River comes up when it goes down and leaves a area of water. Go in there, catch all the crawfish you want. It could be a different crawfish. It could be a white crawfish instead of the red. Okay, so now we got a good ball going. We got a good roll. So now, there you go, Bob. Keep it stirring. We're going to start seasoning a little bit. Let's bring in a little salt. Now, you saw I just brought a little bit. We don't want to overdo this yet. We'll bring a little red pepper in, some cayenne pepper. A little black pepper. Now, I like black pepper. Black pepper at one time was traded on the markets and the shipping in the countries in the old days. That was like black gold. Mm-hmm. It was used as worth a lot of money if you had black pepper. It was that valuable. Now, you know, Bob, we have a lot of sugarcane farmers out here. And we don't put sugar in everything, but my buddies, they farm sugarcane. And what I like to do is show them a little loving.
There you go.
So we give them a little sugar loving. And some good Louisiana hot sauce.
That's the brand I use.
You like the Louisiana? Any particular reason why?
It just tastes good to me.
It's got a good flavor.
Yeah, it does.
So there's hot sauces out there that are hot. If you like that, that's good. But the Louisiana and the Crystal are the two I use. I like both of them. They taste about the same, and they have a good mild flavor, but they have flavor. Yeah. And that's what I like. Now, if you want to bring in some crushed tomatoes, maybe a little Rotel or something here, you can do that also. So we want to keep that moving. And now we're just letting our gravy thicken. All we're doing is letting this gravy thicken. Now, one of the things, this gravy doesn't thicken up. You're taking some of this flour that we had, and you mix it with a little water, and you pour it in there, and it'll thicken up your gravy. This is a trick that I learned from one of the cooks I had, Ruby Charles. She would cook a pot of beans and let them cook, and she was doing other stuff. And then when them beans got soft and they were getting creamy, and it was time for lunch, mix a little flour and water, pour it in the beans. They were thickened up like that, and they were ready to roll. Now, I see something. I want to ask everybody. I had this feature on where whatever I'm seeing on the feed, y'all are seeing it on the screen. How is that working? Because I'm seeing it on my screen too. It's a feature that StreamYard has, and I like it because y'all can see what I'm seeing on my feed. Okay, and that fish should start breaking apart, huh? If you see, just kind of push it against the wall, you'll see it start kind of help it. Give it a little hand.
Still pretty tight.
Still pretty tight? We're going to let it cook some more. Claude said it's working good. You like it, Claude? Because I kind of looking at it, it's pretty neat.
Oh yeah.
So whatever I'm seeing on my TV right here, because I'm watching the feed, you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, that I'm giving comments on. Yep, we just let it keep on cooking. So this is a tough fish. Whatever it is a tough fish, Bob. So
Well, it had to be
it had to be.
to survive.
It's a mystery fish. It's got to be.
That's right.
So on your writing, you said you also do a podcast.
Yeah, I started doing a podcast, trying to do it weekly, but
What's the name of the podcast, Bob?
it's the same as my site, The Traveling Fool.
The Traveling Fool. I like the name. So in the podcast, what are you talking about? Just places you've been?
Sometimes I give tips and things about maybe solo travel or how to be safe when you travel. And sometimes I'll talk about a specific location.
Okay.
And I try and weave in the history of the location and not just tell them things to see and do.
Right.
I like to talk about something interesting that happened there, a historic figure that might have been there, or something happened in history there. And then I'll go into other things that you can see and do when you visit.
Okay.
So
that's cool. Get people answering at the time? Are you doing it live or are you doing it?
No, I record it. It's audio only.
Okay.
And I put it up, and you can access it off my site, thetravelingpool.com. Plus, it's listed on Apple and everybody.
Okay.
You know.
Hey, Susan, EJ and Susan, where's you from? Sube. I love it. Darren said, high tech and high def, bro. You got it, brother. This is high tech. I'm always finding something new with this stuff.
See, the reason I do an audio only podcast, and the reason I was stunned when I was asked to come on here is because I was always told I had a face for radio.
Face for radio.
That's right.
Well, nobody can see you.
That's right.
I got you. Bob, hand me that shrimp dust right here. So one of the things we use out here, you won't see this in many places. We have dry shrimp.
Right.
Dry shrimp was little bitty shrimp that they would dry. In the old days, what they do, they put them out on, they would catch the little bitty small shrimp, put them out on sheets of tin, let them bake in the sun. And all day long, you had to work them as they baked in the sun. And it was real popular with the Chinese, San Francisco, Grand Isle, Louisiana. Yep. It was real popular. But then you take them shrimp too, and you can pulverize the hulls that you knock off of them and make shrimp dust. And it makes a great, great stock. But not everybody has the shrimp, the head-on shrimp, with the peelings and ball it for stock. Then you got to put that stock in your freezer. This right here, it's all natural. Just throw it in there, and it gives you like a shrimp stock in here. And then if you use the dry shrimp, you can put half of it in there and let it boil in there. It's going to give it a good shrimp taste. But another thing is, get you a cold beer, and it goes great with cold beer.
Yeah.
God says nothing go to waste. That's right. In our Cajun world, not a damn thing goes to waste. Now you see the shrimp, the fish is starting to break apart a little bit now.
A little bit.
Okay. Let's check this out. So guys, we're still not quite thick enough when we get there. Now here's the thing. If we get tomorrow, this gravy is going to thicken up and thicken up a lot. Because it's going to go in the box tonight, and it's really going to thicken up. So that's what makes it so good. As it's thickening, the shrimp and the fish in it, it's just soaking up all the seasoning. All that seasoning is just coming together while it's chilling.
I don't know what it is, but any kind of stew or soup seems to always be better than
Always. We'll give it a little bit more. So we got a little good pico on it. A taste of that. It's almost time to bring our shrimp and fish in. Let it cook a little bit more. But this shrimp is going to throw some water. It's going to throw a lot of water. You got to keep that in mind. And once you put this shrimp in here, you only want to let it go maybe 5 minutes. Depending on where the shrimp come from. Now, if you're using foreign shrimp, imported shrimp, I can't tell you what to do. Because I refuse to use it. Because for many years, for the first 15 years in business, I was a seafood market also. And I supported our local fisheries. These guys work hard. They go out every day to put fish, to give us our fisheries on the market. Fresh stuff. So, and then when I started seeing imports come in, it just broke my heart.
Yep.
Now, one of the things, Louisiana, up until about a year 2000, I'm not sure when they did it. All of a sudden, the slogan went away. Louisiana was known as sportsman's paradise.
Right.
Some reason it just kind of went away. But I can tell you, when I was young, you could catch anything in the waters of South Louisiana. Any kind of fisheries. Crawfish, you can go inside the road and catch crawfish.
Oh, yeah.
As long as they had a dish with water and clean water. You can go any body of water and you had an abundant amount of fish, crawfish, shrimp. We were overloaded. Things have changed. Our whole environment has changed. The whole ecosystem has changed because we no longer, the Mississippi River no longer floods the swamps. So that's one of the reasons. So the waters are changing and the land is changing. Another reason is we built up a lot in the swamp land. So we've kind of stopped water because we built levees everywhere, because we have to take water from the subdivisions and pump them out now because we built levees around subdivisions we built in the swamp.
Well, I think also 30 years ago, unless you visited Louisiana, you might have heard about Cajun food.
Exactly.
But you never saw it. It wasn't on any menu anywhere.
It wasn't on any menu.
Except maybe Texas and Mississippi or something. But
so in the 80s, Paul Prudhomme,
mm-hmm.
famous chef from West Louisiana,
right,
came from Southwest Louisiana. He was working in New Orleans. I want to say Commander's Palace.
I think so, yeah.
Cooking the same foods as everybody else, French style foods. Everybody had the same thing. And he said, boss man, let me bring some Cajun culture in here. Let me bring some Cajun flavor. And they gave him the free reins to do it. And from his experiment in New Orleans, Cajun blew up. First thing he did was the black and red fish. Right. Caught on like wildfire. And then they came in. Crawfish became a very popular dish in New Orleans.
Right.
Up until this time, affluent people, would not eat boiled crawfish. That was for the poor people. That's the things that Cajuns ate. And people were leery of Cajun food at this time because Cajuns ate anything. You know, you run over it on the road, you stop and pick it up and have it for supper that night. Fresh roadkill.
That's right.
It was awesome. But people were leery. You used to always say, man, don't eat them Cajuns cooking because you don't know what they got in that pot. That was true. But we made it good. Once Paul Prudhomme got in the game and Cajun became cool, then everything we cook now is good. All right. Let me check this again. Our gravy is thickening it up. Shall we get a little thickness in it? Still not quite right, but it's starting to thicken up. Whew. Man, I haven't put anything in this thing yet.
Got to take
Bob, I'm gonna let you taste it. We haven't. Now you saw the little bit of seasoning I put in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is gonna be your taste.
That is good.
That is good.
That is good.
You saw the little bit of salt and pepper we put in?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't much.
Nope.
But you can taste the flavor in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
You can taste that shrimp.
Oh, the French bread is coming, my brother. You ain't got to worry about that. Don't even worry about that French bread. So one of the things I always tell people, whatever you do, don't make a wish dish. Don't put so little seafood in here that your partners wish that you had some meat in there.
That's right.
When you're going to feed people, make sure you have a lot of meat. So we're going to bring the rest of the shrimp in. This is going to be a very shrimpy stew. And also, we're going to let that come back to boil, and we're going to bring the rest of our fish in. But this fish is tough, so we're going to bring it all in right now. I see we have a lot of meat in this stew. Now, because I just brought all this shrimp and fish in, we're going to have to taste it again once it comes to a boil. And one of the things we're going to do once it comes back to a boil, we're going to do this French bread taste. And what you're going to do is dip that French bread in there, and we're going to taste it on French bread. Because I don't know if you know, but po' boy bread's like Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
And it was started in New Orleans and out here in the country. The Germans made the bread. So we had local bakeries, Germans. You had Leinheimer. Out here, you had Himmel. And every little town had their baker. And they would make French bread. But you know how he got the name po' boy? Any idea how he got this name?
Oh, you just assume because that was what the po' boys ate on the way to work.
No. So in the 20s, you had a strike in New Orleans of all the people working the utilities, streetcar drivers and all. They went on strike. Well, you went on strike, you didn't get paid. You didn't have unemployment insurance. You didn't have none of this. You want to go on strike, fine, and they went on strike a long time, and they were suffering. So they had a shopkeeper, and what he did at the end of the day, he would take this roast beef gravy with scraps of roast beef, put it on his bread, then put some old French fries. French fries that got cold, he put it on there, make him a sandwich, and he would tell his wife, feed those poor boys. Because the boys were suffering. So feed those poor boys turned into this is a poor boy now. That's where that comes from. What's up, Hollywood? Hollywood, I got Mr. Bob with me. He's a travel writer. He's looking to write about famous people in Hollywood. You know, everybody knows you're famous.
It's a big piece of fish.
That's some big pieces of fish. And what's good is you can serve it, because if you put them too small, they'll break up in your stew. Like, we want some of this whole, so when you serve it, you're going to have some pieces of fish on your rice also. We're going to get this back to a boil, let it start boiling.
That's a big
Then we're going to taste this. That's one I forgot to cut. What kind of fish you think this is, Bob?
I have no idea.
Me neither. I haven't a clue what the hell we got in this pot.
It's not catfish.
No. So in the
I
river,
don't think it's redfish.
it's not, I don't know what it is.
It might be.
I might have shark in here. I have no idea. I just found it in my freezer. Hollywood said, you know what you're doing. Hey, bake it till you make it. So one of the things is in our river, one of the biggest things we have is catfish.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people won't eat the catfish out the river because the river's pretty polluted, and it eats a lot on grains. It's a bottom feeder, so there's a lot of grain elevators. But if you know how to clean it, it's good. My brother's cleaned it for me. He's done it. He's the fisherman in the family. But what it is that you can catch them catfish that grow as tall as me. They'll be as big as me.
They're huge.
But if you don't want to use them to cook like a fried catfish or something, they make a great cubio, which we'll take that cubio and we'll make it the same way. And I'll throw some green peas in here, some little petit pois, and add maybe some, besides the peas, add some tomato sauce in here, make it a little red, and boy, is it good.
I grew up eating catfish.
You grew up.
Oh, yeah.
Catfish is the biggest dish, the biggest fish we have out here. I mean, it's good. That, sac-a-lait, and bass, what people like. I'll grab a piece of French bread. So what we're going to do now, time for the French bread taste. We'll let that boil. And man, if it tastes good on French bread, it's going to be good in the plate. What do you think, Bob?
That is good.
Man, that's good stuff.
Look what I did.
See what you did?
Yeah, see what I did?
So Bob cooked. He can write on his blog and say on his podcast that he cooked a shrimp stew with mystery fish.
That's right. All I had to
man.
do was somebody get all the ingredients together, put it in there, and tell me what to do. But I did it.
You did it. This is what we do, Bob. Cajun cooking experience. This is what people do. They come in, they do what you're doing, but they cook in the dish from beginning to end. And they're amazing. They always do a great job. And the first thing they'll tell me is, oh, it's only because you were here. No, they actually did it. I had a little girl, 6 years old. I've had a little girl, 8 years old. A young man that was 10 years old. They've all done great jobs doing this. When we get teenagers come in, they love it. First, they're kind of leery. They really don't know if they want to do this or not. By the end of it, they are just so happy because they cooked it. They get to eat it after, and they're just amazed at what they've done. Man, y'all come cook in Port Fouchard, Hollywood. Might to come there one day. Goodbye. Let's see. See them bowls over there? Grab me 2 of those bowls. Okay. Now, our traditional way to eat it, what do you think about the seasoning, salt and pepper?
Enough, you mean?
You think there's enough? We're going to taste it over rice. This is how we're going to find out. Okay? A little bit there. Let me put a little rice in mine. Okay. Here we go. Make sure you get a little undo in yours, Bob.
Oh, I got it. That.
Okay. There's one. Fill this one up.
We're gonna put this in there.
Yep, go ahead and put it in. These are shallot tops. I would have porcelain, except right now, I don't know if y'all noticed, the lighting's different. I've been without it. I'm half electricity, half without electricity. We under lights that don't work anymore. So I've got some spotlights shooting on me and a light over my head. I feel like I'm being interrogated. All right, Bob. So here you go. I'm gonna slow this down. All right. Let's taste it over rice and see what we have.
Give me a little bit of the shrimp.
Ooh, man.
That is good.
What do you think, Bob?
I'm gonna try it.
You can taste that nutty flavor from the root.
Mm-hmm.
Taste the shrimp and the fish in it. And you taste a good shrimp flavor because of that shrimp dust that we put in.
I think so, yeah.
The shrimp dust makes a lot of difference.
You try some mystery fish.
So guys, if you have a fish in your freezer and you don't know what to do with it, you have no idea what the hell it is. This has probably been in my freezer for 2 or 3 years. I have no idea. Cook a stew with it. And don't worry about what kind of fish it is. Because if you put it in a stew, it's going to be fantastic.
Got a little spice to it, but
So I want to ask everybody, give me some comments on this. How was the sound tonight? I'm using a new set of mics. So these mics are never used before, but it was a set of mics that we can both be mic'd up and talk on the show. What Dan said a while ago? High tech. Baby, I am high tech. So give me some feedback on how the sound was tonight. Okay. So out there, we have smell-o-vision, but they can actually smell what we're cooking. For some reason, it ain't working tonight. Lord, Bob, this is good.
it is, isn't it?
Woo. Hey, lady, eat the rest. You taste that little piquant in it? Taste that pepper? It's got a good little
For
piquant.
me personally, I'd probably add a little bit more red pepper.
That's why you have the
That's
hot sauce
big.
on the table.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So if I add a little bit more red pepper, you have to deal with Elaine.
Yeah. Well, see, not everybody likes all that. But
Right,
the nice thing
right.
about this, you can just
I could add a little bit more. This is really good. All right, thank you, Mike. So, anybody out there that knows my brother Michael, tomorrow is his birthday. Make sure when you see him, you tell him happy birthday. Michael Fouché. He's going to be 66 years old. So this is the show for tonight. I'm going to tell you right now. What do you think, Bob? This came out really good, right?
I think so.
And Bob, anything else you want to say about what you do?
No, I've been lucky enough to travel around, write people's stories, see a lot of things that people just don't get the opportunity to see. But I'm gonna keep doing it as long as the knees hold out, and I'm willing to do it. So
Good. We need people writing about the little town.
right.
Everybody writes about the big cities and the big tourist destinations, but nobody writes about small town USA.
That's right.
So we need more people like Bob out there writing about places like Vacherie, LaPlace, Destrehan, all these little towns that went on Edgard, Wallace, all these little towns, Vacherie, Front Vacherie, Back Vacherie. We need more people out there writing about what we do because we're the best hidden secret in the world. Hey guys, next week, a few weeks ago, I told you I had a health coach coming on. Well, things got messed up and she couldn't come on. She will be on next week. We're going to cook a jambalaya. So if you know anybody who wants to learn how to cook a jambalaya from scratch, a real jambalaya with real rice, not Paul Ball rice, tune in next week. And if you want to learn, get some tips on how to stay healthy or how to work out without hurting yourself, next week's show is the one you want to tune into. Until then, thank y'all for tuning in.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate
Bob, glad you came by. God bless y'all. Laissez-les bon temps rouler, baby.
Don't get me wrong, I love my life. These concrete walls, these city lights. What I'm about to say, it won't make no sense, but I gotta get it off my chest.